Hi. It's a good time to have a chat when you're telling a story. Right after lunch, people are quite pacified. And so when I was talking about what story to tell, I was very clear in my head that if there's a story to be told, it has to be this one. This is something I take immense pride in because what started off as a passion project from a bunch of us, you will see the faces later. You know how farmer suicides are big. West Bengal had one of the worst records about 7-8 years back. Glad to say, maybe this, maybe something else, maybe the overall infrastructure, of course. But we surely feel we have been part of the process where we have elevated the standard of living and the way things get conjoined between our world and their world. We unfortunately actually hold citizenship of two countries, India and Bharat. And there's a wide difference on that part, and somehow Bharat is almost like the proverbial slipper carrier and just carries that and rules for India. But they are the ones who carry the main burden of our things, and every morsel we feed literally comes from them. And to them is this story dedicated. Okay. So this is where we are. I wanted to start off with the numbers just to show you the enormity of the scale. And if this is not about scale, if this is not about technology, I don't know what is. So we are today serving about 7.2 million farming households. Farmers means the households. Approximately 30 million people get impacted by what we do. On an average, we have catered to about 250,000 queries. Now remember, these are unique queries coming from that. And we have done about 5 million soil cards, practically the whole of Bengal. We know the lay of the land, we know every soil constitution for every 2 hectares. And this is the kind of that I told about, roughly the 35 million people that impacted. I'll tell what we do, but that's the kind of numbers we're looking at and when we intended to. So what we do is very simple. We answer 2 queries. A farmer calls up, tells us the soil card number. We tell him what crop to grow and exactly how much fertilizer to use. That's all. And that creates a transformation on multiple dimensions. I'll talk about each of them there. And there's a huge, huge faith we got back in people once we did this project. That's the story that I would like to talk about. This is the overall ecosystem I don't want to talk about, but remember that NGO Gram Panchayat is something that we always think, government employees, they don't have any passion, they'll not do anything. That's a critical part. And these are the parts who really make money out of this system, mostly. There are no published figures. There are researchers which probably will be scuttled. I would be debated for saying this, but our estimate is for every 100 rupees you spend on anything of staple thing you buy, 17 rupees goes back to the farmer. 83 is eaten by all these elements. And of that 17 that goes back, the input cost itself is about 9. And if things go proper, the input cost could be 4. The farmer could sell it for 30. You could buy it for 80. Still the middle person can make 50. But no, it has to be 83 and you need to shell out 100. That's the balance that we want to see and change. So roughly, this is what we thought was the current system. This is where the problems and inefficiencies were, and this was our thing. Now this needs much more than 15 minutes. I'll not dabble into it. This is a storytelling session. What we want to dabble with is how we created an efficient ecosystem, and the thing we brought in was transparency. So we looked at everything, and yes, we use satellite data in a very different way, and terrestrial in a very different way. So we look at these people on the street, and that's where the biggest faith that we got back. We went with this arrogance that the government employees are not going to work, there's no point thinking of them. But try karte. That's the attitude with which we gave a particular segment called Krishi Sahayok Porishebok on the guy who works with every GP, and he's supposed to help the farmers. This position was historically created in the late 60s when we were trying to make fertilizer, irrigation, and those practices common with farmers. Post that, they didn't have work. So they just go to office, come back, lead a pretty psychedelic life, and they're pretty happy about it. That's what we thought. So we thought they will not work. This is too much work. They're not going to do. Biggest mistake we did. These guys suddenly found honor in what they were doing. They became important to society. And they drove. And the way it expanded was typically the way the government works. You try to convince them. It took 2 years for us to convince. You know how West Bengal is. I'm from there. We are lazy, which is a good thing, but sometimes it doesn't work out too well. And then we went and did a pilot. Do pilots, that's how we do it. What we didn't expect was a pilot was so successful that there was a pull from the other villages next to it. And suddenly people were asking, when are we getting it? And then suddenly, and this was happening in a place called, close to Kolkata, called Barakpur. Those periods had. Suddenly there's a call, the CM's office receives that, you're politically motivated, you don't care about North Bengal, why is only Kolkata and nearby areas? And then there was a war footing and you had to do it over all India, over all Bengal. Maybe this was the right thing, hope it's all India very soon. So what we did was, we looked at this part and we created that entire thing on mobile governance and all. And then people found uses of it on its own. There was a flood last year, the money got dispensed in 12 days. All we had to do was convince the government of two things. One is, if it's high momentum transactions, it's very difficult to be corrupt. The economics don't work out to be corrupt of a transaction 1,000 rupees. It's only when you collect them and you make them into crores does someone's vested interest take place. So let small momentum transactions go on, and that's how you actually make a progressive system which is by design anti-corruption. It's just not tenable to be corrupt there. And the second thing we said was, what value is your paper? Here I am giving you a tool by which the guy is geocoded, locked onto the place. He's taking a time-stamped, geocoded stamped picture, telling you the damage has happened, and he is your employee, a government employee, the same guy who's going to sign it. What's your problem? Why can't you give the cash right now? They thought it was good. It was also electoral season. It went 12 days. But now it's a precedence. That's the pace people want. The pull happened. And we went on to multiple things. I'll quickly take you through some of the things that happens. So these are the entire things we do. Those are the people that you see on top. They're actually field officers. What has done is the babus who used to sit inside the office of the government places now go out with that just to show their involvement and their competence. They're out in the field helping the farmers. And the farmers, for the first time, are starting to feel cared for. There's a gap which is being bridged. That is my story. These are the things that you see, that busy screen you see with all those markers, that's every of the Xelpmocs. The color code is basically when did the last use. Green means last use in half an hour. Or yellow means last use in last 3 hours, and that means last 8 hours. If it's more than 12 hours, it goes red. We hardly see any red. These guys don't ask for conclave. They come on Sundays to hearts. Hearts are where villages come together to sell. There's still a barter system. There's still a village market system. And they're on their own, they're doing it. I think that to me was the biggest revelation. The dignity when people get made me believe that people don't work for money. They work for respect. In the absence of respect, you start judging yourself by money. But when you give it back to them, there is no stopping them. That is my story. So this is it. This is what we do. There's no point reading. You can read all on Google. Storytelling is not about reading out those facts. And, okay, one big thing we did. Everything is voice-based. It's a call center. He calls up. He tells his soil card. He tells his problem. At the moment, you have a manual interpreter who decodes the problem, finds the answer, and just clicks the answer. The answer is made into a voice file, recorded and kept against that phone number. And the guy is sent an SMS saying your answer is ready. So when he calls up that number, the answer is played out to him. Otherwise, they just can't use it. Now we are trying to automate that so that the automatic detection, it's really high tech. Let me tell you, I've handled scale. I've been part of the team which has architected two of the largest used mass production sites of India. Money Control, I was a founder. I was a CTO for Just Dial. But this is a different dimension of satisfaction and raw usage problems and high tech with a simplification objective. Nothing is more challenging than this. That's what we want to do. And then we brought in satellite. What it does is it gives me better observation power. So I can today detect, because of several algorithms, disease in a plant 5 days before the human eye can perceive it. Plants also have life, we know that. What we don't know is when they get sick, apparently this is research and we got to know, they start exuding lot more water vapor. From that you can say this is not normal. Where satellite goes wrong is it doesn't know the Bayesian factor. Is it rice? Is it maize? Is it jowar? It doesn't know that. But if an offline person can help that part out, then the accuracy of predictions is much more, and you can do it much cheaper. I can't afford to have every square inch of the land of Bengal covered by human, no matter how much I wish. But if I can pick the data, I can do it. It's almost like those war films you see where they put an on-ground person who laser tags the target and then planes can bomb it. You need that laser taggers, but post that technology can really work wonders. And we hope this will actually go into things of other nature. These are the kind of some of the screens for the technically interested. We enjoy working with this tech. This is really high step. This is a company called SatSure, so this is a couple of people working together who do it. Amazing stuff on that part. We use that, and we are finding more value on that part. Moving on to that, this is what we want to move on to the solution methodology and all. I can take questions on this offline. And, well, these are good-looking pictures. Doesn't make any sense to the farmer, but the interpreter of this analysis it does is extremely useful for the farmers. That's what we have been able to do. We want to get into these parts. We want to make sure the governments get interested into doing that. There are lots of inefficiencies. You carry 100 kilos, and the final output is 220 kilos. You could get a thrasher, which is just in situ, that can only make 20 kilos of, sorry, extremely. So these are the parts that we looked at, and we have looked at some case studies with which we are working with the insurance companies so that those things happen. The power of the satellite is, for the first time, you can actually make something like a time machine. And that really helps, because the pictures of last 5 years are there in satellite records. You can theoretically make it like you're rewinding back in time and analyzing the data. So it's a very powerful tool. Coming to think of it, lots more areas of usage are there on that part. I'll quickly go through this. This is more on that part. This is our theme. Eye in the sky, feet in the field, crystal ball of data. And that's how we want to solve the problem of India. That's the team. These are all sorts of people, some of them here, present. But these are people from all walks who come together who have no business. Someone's a CTO. I mean, Shobik is here. I don't know if he's there. He's a CTO of Tata Click. He was a CTA for SAP. And we just come together because it's a common problem which we all want solved. Thank you. I'm done. Any questions, I'll be happy to answer. Yes, please. Sorry? Yeah.
Hi, sir. My name is Suraj. We are a VR platform company, but I have a huge interest in agriculture and food, total end-to-end cycle. So my question to you is, agriculture is very local. Decisions are influenced by each other. 80% is weather influenced. So how do you tackle that problem where, you know, like for example, in Maharashtra, how it happens is if you grow one type of field, I'll talk to you and do the same. Then we'll basically have an oversupply and reduce the costs.
Yeah.
Similarly happens in a cycle phase, and weather plays a big part of it, which is 80% influenced by weather.
True.
And one last question is, why is your name so complicated? How do farmers connect with you in that?
So that's on the company. The farmers connect with the company called InGreens, and the local name is called Matir Kotha. That is tail of the soil. This is just a holding thing of which. But essentially it means complex reversed, which means we want to simplify things.
Okay.
But it's meant to be a little difficult. Now coming back to you think, yes, there's logistics is one of the big issues and the game theoretic part of what to grow. I guess there what we want to bring in, and that's exactly where the insurance comes in, we want to come up with something called strategic minimum support price, where if we come and tell you what to grow based on the food map of India, and you grow that, we give you more than the support price in the market. So that way we want to encourage that part. Like what you said happened in Maharashtra this year. Last year, tomato had to be thrown away. This year, no one grew tomato. They went for brinjals. Brinjal price has fallen, tomato prices has gone up. Remember that agriculture is a matured but inefficient industry in India. And the reason is, there are some people who make money out of the inefficiencies. So once you democratize that part, once you inform that part, and you play it like a portfolio where if one part is going to get affected by weather, how does that not impact by judging on that part and moving the staples from the cash, and you do a thing. It's a big vision, maybe not doable politically, but hey, who cares? We will try. Thank you guys, thanks.